Once, in a big, bright box full of crayons, there lived a little blue crayon named Sky. He loved to draw big, wide oceans and tiny little raindrops on window panes. He was long and straight and perfect, with a pointy tip that made the neatest lines. One sunny afternoon during a very exciting drawing session, a small hand pushed just a little too hard. Snap! Sky broke right in the middle. He was no longer one long crayon, but two short, sad pieces. He felt his smooth paper wrapper tear, and a wave of sadness washed over him, bigger than any ocean he had ever drawn before. He was broken, and he thought his drawing days were over for good. Sky looked at his two small parts lying on the table. He felt so different from all the other crayons. There was ruby red, tall and proud. There was sunny yellow, sharp and ready. And there was emerald green, smooth and whole. But Sky was just two little pieces. He thought, how can I ever draw a big, beautiful sky now? I am too short. I am not good enough anymore. He wished he could be glued back together, to be long and perfect again. He felt useless and small, and he rolled himself into a corner of the big crayon box, hoping no one would see him. The other crayons would go on adventures, drawing wonderful pictures of castles and dragons and bright, smiling suns. Sky would just watch from his corner, feeling his pointy ends grow dull. He remembered how it felt to glide across the paper, leaving a trail of brilliant blue behind him. Now, he imagined he would just make clumsy, short marks. He believed that because he was broken, he could no longer create anything beautiful. He was a forgotten crayon, a crayon that had lost its purpose, and his bright blue color seemed to fade a little with each passing day of sadness. When the children tidied up, they would sometimes pick up his two halves. "Oh, a broken one," they would say, and toss him back into the box. Each time this happened, Sky felt another little crack in his waxy heart. He was convinced that being broken meant he was ruined forever. He didn't see that he was still full of the same beautiful blue color. He only saw what was missing, his long, perfect shape. The little crayon had forgotten the most important thing about himself. It wasn't his length that mattered, but the color he held inside. He just needed a chance to remember. One bright morning, the teacher announced a very special art project. "Today," she said with a big smile, "we are going to draw our favorite dreams. We will make the most wonderful pictures the world has ever seen." All the crayons in the box wiggled with excitement. Ruby Red dreamed of drawing a field of red roses. Sunny Yellow wanted to draw a giant happy lion with a golden mane. Everyone had a plan, everyone except for the two small pieces of Sky. He stayed hidden in his corner, feeling bluer than ever. He thought his dreams were as broken as he was. A little girl named Lily reached into the box. She didn't look for the longest or the sharpest crayon. Her fingers searched around until they found the two little pieces of blue. "Perfect," she whispered, picking them both up. Sky felt a flutter of fear. What could she possibly want with him? He was too small to draw big things, too clumsy to make neat lines. He braced himself to be tossed aside again, but Lily held him gently in her hand. She didn't seem to mind that he was broken. In fact, she seemed to have a special plan just for him. Lily placed a big, clean sheet of white paper on her desk. It looked like a huge, empty cloud waiting for color. She looked at the two blue pieces in her hand. One piece had a pointy tip, and the other had a flat, wide bottom where the break had happened. She didn't look sad or disappointed at all. Instead, she looked inspired. Sky felt a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this little girl saw something that he couldn't see in himself. He felt her fingers wrap around his first piece, the pointy one, and he held his breath as she moved him toward the paper. He was still very nervous. All around him, other crayons were already making bold, beautiful marks. He could hear the confident swish of emerald green drawing long blades of grass and the steady strokes of sunny yellow creating a bright sun. He felt so small and unprepared for such a big project. "I can't do it," he thought to himself. "I'm just a broken crayon. I'll mess it all up." But Lily's hand was steady and kind. She didn't seem to expect him to be perfect. She just wanted him to try his best. And so, with a little wobble, he touched the paper. Lily began to draw with the first piece of Sky. She used his pointy tip to make tiny swirling stars all over the top of the paper. They weren't straight or perfect lines, but delicate little curls of blue that twinkled like a real night sky. Sky was surprised. He didn't know he could still make something so pretty. He thought he could only make short, stubby marks, but Lily showed him how to dance across the page. With every little star she drew, Sky felt a little bit of his sadness melt away. He was still a small piece, but he was helping to create something magical. Then, Lily picked up the second piece of Sky, the one with the flat, broken end. Sky had thought this part was the most useless of all, but Lily turned him on his side and gently rubbed him across the paper. A soft, wide wave of blue appeared, like a dreamy, misty cloud. It was a texture he had never made before. When he was a long, perfect crayon, he only used his tip. Now his broken edge was creating a beautiful, soft glow. He was making a gentle river of blue that flowed beneath the twinkling stars, something he could never have done before he broke. Lily used both pieces together, switching between them to add more and more detail. The pointy end made sharp little waves on the river, and the flat end filled the sky with soft, wispy clouds. The two pieces of sky were working together, like a team. They weren't one long crayon anymore, but they were creating a picture that was much more interesting and beautiful because of it. Sky realized that his two halves were not a mistake. They were two different tools. One was for tiny details, and the other was for big, soft sweeps of color. He was more useful now than he had ever been. When Lily was finished, she held up her picture. Everyone in the class gasped. It was the most beautiful dream of all. The sky she had drawn with the two broken pieces was full of texture and life. It had sharp, twinkly stars and soft, dreamy clouds, all in different shades of blue. It looked more real and more magical than any other picture in the room. The other crayons looked on in amazement. The two little pieces of sky had created a masterpiece, not in spite of being broken, but because of it. Sky had never felt so proud in his entire life. Sky, in his two pieces, looked at the amazing artwork he had helped create. He saw how his pointy half made the stars shine, and how his flat half made the clouds look so fluffy and soft. He finally understood that being broken didn't make him useless, it just made him different. In fact, being different was what made him so special. If he had still been one long, perfect crayon, he would have only been able to draw one way. But now, as two unique pieces, he could do so much more. He had two ways to share his beautiful blue color with the world, not just one. The other crayons in the box now looked at Sky with respect and admiration. They saw that his two small pieces had more power and creativity than they had ever imagined. Ruby Red said, "Your drawing has so many feelings in it." Sunny Yellow added, "I've never seen a sky look so wonderful." Sky learned that it wasn't about being the longest or the sharpest crayon in the box. It was about what you could create with what you had. His brokenness was not a weakness. It had become his greatest strength. He was no longer the sad, broken crayon in the corner. From that day on, Lily always chose Sky for her most special pictures. She loved using his two different ends to make her drawings unique. Sky loved it too. He was happy to be two pieces. He could be a pointy star maker one moment and a soft cloud painter the next. He taught the other crayons in the box a very important lesson. Sometimes our little imperfections are what make us truly amazing. You don't have to be perfect to make a big difference. You just have to believe in yourself and all the wonderful color you have inside. And so, the little blue crayon that refused to break in spirit lived happily in his box, a hero in two halves. He knew that even if you feel small or broken or not quite right, you still have something wonderful to offer. All you need is a little bit of courage to try. Just like Sky, you can use your unique qualities to make the world a more beautiful and colorful place. Because being perfect isn't nearly as interesting as being perfectly you, cracks and all.